Hi, I'm Brandt Krueger, and I'm excited to talk to you today about event integrations. Let me start with something most event planners won't admit out loud. Spreadsheets aren't actually a tool, they're more of a coping mechanism. Let me explain. If you've ever had to export a registration list, then bring it into a spreadsheet program, clean up the columns, re-upload it to another system, and then do it all over again the next day, you're not alone. And I'm guessing that a love of spreadsheets wasn't the reason you got into events. So that's exactly the problem that event integrations are meant to solve. Today I'm going to walk you through what event integrations actually are, why the spreadsheet system starts to break down as your event gets closer, the difference between one-way and two-way integrations, and how to know when it's time to move beyond all of that manual work. So let's get into it. So here's the real issue. Event data lives in too many places. Registration, CRM, membership system, badge printing tool, your event app, your email platform. When those systems don't talk to each other, you become the integration layer. So you export, you clean, you re-upload, you double check, you fix mistakes. At first, it feels manageable. But as soon as registrations stay open longer than you expected, attendee details change, membership status affects an attendee's pricing or eligibility, on-site check-in demands accurate data to actually function, now all of a sudden that spreadsheet is already outdated. And now you're racing the clock. Spreadsheets aren't the strategy. They're the symptom of disconnected systems. So what is an event integration? At the simplest level, an event integration connects two or more systems so that they automatically share data. Instead of exporting lists and manually updating tools, changes in one system are reflected in another. For example, your event platform captures attendance data during sessions. Without an integration, you export that report and upload it into your membership or learning management system. With an integration, that attendance data flows automatically. No extra steps, no manual uploads, no last-minute cleanup. And here's the most important part. Integrations don't decide anything for you. They remove the handoffs. That's all they do. They keep systems aligned so that you don't have to babysit your data. Manual processes feel fine until they don't. Early in the planning process, exporting a list doesn't feel risky, but as the event gets closer, every change matters. Late registrations, cancellations, VIP status updates, access control changes, badge corrections. When multiple systems depend on the same information and you're the one responsible for keeping them aligned and you're under time pressures, that's when mistakes happen. And that's when confidence drops. The problem is the dependency on you or someone on your team. Disconnected tools create what some people call operational risk. Now, this is where a lot of teams get burned. Not all integrations behave the same way. Let's break it down. One-way integrations send data in a single direction, usually on a schedule. They work well when information is relatively stable. For example, after registration closes, push the finalized list into another system. That works. But events rarely stay static. If registration stays open, if attendee details change, if membership status updates, a one-way integration doesn't adapt in real time. And that's when spreadsheets creep back in. Not because the integration failed, but because it was never designed to support ongoing change. Two-way integrations keep systems synchronized as updates happen. When something changes in one system, it updates everywhere else that depends on it. This matters when registration is still open close to the event. Attendee status affects pricing or access. Multiple teams rely on the same data at the same time. Two-way integrations support decisions in motion, not just data sitting in a report. Most teams don't start by asking for this. They arrive there after being burned by late changes and manual cleanup. Here's something most people miss. Data sync is not the finish line. Once your systems stay aligned, you stop asking, is this list correct? Is this the current list? And you start asking, what should happen next? That's when integrations become way more powerful, because now event moments can trigger actions. Let me make this concrete. So a VIP checks in on site. That status lives in your CRM or your membership system. That status is shared with your event platform. When they check in, that moment triggers a text message to their host. No radio calls, no scrambling, no manual coordination. The right person is notified instantly that the VIP has checked in. Here's another one. A keynote speaker arrives. An alert is automatically sent to your internal Slack or your Teams channel. Now your AV team knows, your event lead knows, and everyone stays aligned. And finally, an attendee upgrades their registration. Access rules are adjusted automatically. Session visibility updates. Permissions change. And no one had to manually edit anything. The system reflects reality. That's the difference between syncing data and enabling action. Here's the deeper value. When your systems stay aligned, you stop double-checking everything. You stop asking whether the list is current. You stop worrying about badge errors or eligibility mismatches. You trust your data. And that changes how you operate. Decisions happen faster. Stress drops. The event feels manageable again. That's what integrations are really about. Control. So you see that spreadsheets usually do work until they don't. They work until registration stays open very close to the event. They work until attendee details change frequently, and then you've got multiple systems that depend on that same data or on-site operations that rely on real-time accuracy. So when spreadsheets become a risk instead of a safety net, that's your signal. Start with identity data. Name, email, registration status, attendee type. Get that stable first, and then expand. The biggest mistake that teams make is trying to integrate everything at once. You should always start with the essentials, validate, and then grow. Now let's make this practical. EventMobi connects registration, on-site check-in, attendance tracking, and engagement in one connected workflow. And through the Integrations Hub, you can connect that event data directly to systems like HubSpot, Salesforce, membership platforms, and so much more. Instead of building custom integrations or relying on manual exports, you use pre-built connectors specifically designed for event workflows. Let me show you what that actually looks like. I'm going to bring in Thorben to walk through a quick example of connecting EventMobi to HubSpot using the Integrations Hub.
All right, so we've shown you a little bit of what Integration Hub can do, and we keep telling you how easy it is to set up an integration with Integration Hub, but how easy is it actually? So this is what I want to show you. It's actually just a couple of clicks, and we mean that. So the way it works is I go into my event app or event space and I click Integration Hub. And the first thing I'm going to see here is standard integrations that we have set up. Let's try using the HubSpot one. So I click Install and I see a couple of recipes, I will call them. And I'm just going to do the first one. If somebody is added to a new HubSpot list, we add them to EventMobi. Now, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to connect my HubSpot account. You saw there's already a few accounts connected, but just to show you, this is a couple of clicks. There's a new window that opens that asks you to log on to HubSpot, and that's it. And it's the same in every CRM. I'm going to skip the entire process because, as you saw, there's already some integrations with HubSpot set up, and I'm just going to use those. But this is the general gist. And now I click Next or Continue. And now I need to select what list I want Integration Hub to watch for changes. So if somebody gets added to this list, then they get added to EventMobi. And then when they get added into EventMobi, what fields go where? So First name, for example, goes into first name field in EventMobi. Last name goes into last name field. And obviously, you can do this with all your CRM fields and all your EventMobi fields. And then I click Next, and I click Start, and it takes a couple of seconds to load. And this is literally how easy it is to set up a ready-made integration. Now, let's say we want to build our own integration. We click on Automation, New Automation, and we select a trigger. A trigger is something that happens and that starts an automation. So in this case, when a new person gets added to EventMobi, let's add them to HubSpot. So if somebody registers for our event, let's add them to HubSpot. We can set up filters that allow us to manage specific edge cases. And now let's add them to HubSpot. What I do is create and update a new person, but there's hundreds of actions I can do on HubSpot. So I select that action, I select my integration again, and that's it. So in the next step, I map my fields again. So I say, for example, the email address goes into the email field, and let's search for the first name field. Where is it? There it is. So I want to write the EventMobi first name into the first name field, and then I click Save. And in theory, that's it. Already, all my registrants now get added to HubSpot automatically. But I want to go one step further. I want to properly track them, and I want to track that they attended my events. In HubSpot, I do this with meetings. In Salesforce, I would use campaigns. Maybe in your AMS, it's called differently, but it's always the same principle. I select HubSpot. I select Meeting, Create Meeting. And now I can select my integration again, and I can see what fields I can write into. So the first thing I want to do is I want to assign the meeting with the right person. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select the person ID on HubSpot that I have from my previous trigger and just assign it, or they call it contact ID. And then I can fill out all the other fields if I want. So for example, in the description field, I can add a description. I can even add what they selected during registration, what sessions they were interested in. Everything you have in EventMobi, you can just easily add into other systems or vice versa. Now, if something changes in HubSpot, I can build the same integration the other way around. And all I do now is click Start. It takes a couple of seconds to get ready, and my integration is up and running. I have a dashboard where I can see the integrations that ran, and I also have the ability to see how many integrations ran day to day. That's all you need to know to set up your own integrations using Integration Hub. So we have tons of integrations with CRM systems, with association management systems, with ERP systems that are ready-made for you, that you can get started with in less than 60 seconds. And even if you want to build your own integration using a custom tool or maybe doing some custom work, it is easy. You just do a few clicks, you connect the tools, no coding required. And if you need help, we're always here for you. I hope this shows you that we mean it when we say Integration Hub makes integrations really easy. And I hope this is helpful for you.
What I love about that example is how straightforward it is. You're not exporting CSV files. You're not writing code. You're not rebuilding workflows. You're deciding what data needs to sync, which system is the source of truth, and when updates should flow. Once that connection is live, attendee and registration updates move automatically between systems. That's what reduces manual cleanup. And more importantly, that's what protects you when things change later on. If this breakdown was helpful, give this video a like so we know to create more content like this. If you've ever had a spreadsheet moment go wrong before an event, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And if you want more practical, real-world conversations about event tech, not just feature lists, make sure you subscribe and share this video with a fellow event planner. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.